partners training po na to is entitled Numero, Untitled Chapter. Basically, pinag-uusapan dito mga economic concepts, mga data and its implication, and at the same time, for the importance of the advocacy of the IMG, the learners we have with the financial concept and how we apply and change our economic life. Ako po si Jesus Britanico. This presentation partners training was originally presented here in Dubai office, but the objective of this video is to share the same partners training to everyone who wants to have an insight about the same presentation. So basically, when I presented this, when I prepared for this partners training, I have some references from multiple sources like materials from macroeconomics, trade and investment global practices in East Asia from the World Bank, from the Asian Development Bank, the European Journal of Sustainable Development. There is also from the book of Peter Antonioni, Economics for Dummies in second edition, from Investopedia website, Wikipedia. But also po sa libro IMG books, which is a system builder book, The Secret to Saving and Building Your Future book, and the website for Gapminder and Dollar Street. Unahin po natin mga konsepto about economics. Economy is the state of a country or region in terms of the production, consumption of goods and services, and the supply of money, while economics studies how people deal with scarcity and the inescapable fact that our wants typically exceed the means available to satisfy them. The fact that life has limits may not at first seem like a good basis for an entire social science, but every government decision, every business decision, and a large chunk of our personal decisions all come down to deciding on how to get the most out of limited resources. So through economics, in a personal level, ibig sabihin is that how do we manage our limited resources at any given time? Ibig sabihin, economics is not just about earning money, but at the same time, economics is about managing and spending wisely those limited resources that we have. Pareho yan yung kinikita natin, gaya ng kinikita natin, we should make the most out of it. Pinaghirapan natin yun. Common economy. Common economy means the government owns the factors of production such as land, capital, and resources, and government officials determine where and how much is produced. So common economy usually nangyayari ito sa mga authoritarian government, where ang gobyerno ang nagdidikta kung paano tatakbo ng ekonomiya. While market economy or the free enterprise system, this is the most common title associated with with a market economy. Usually the word capitalism. Individuals and businesses own the resources and are free to exchange and contract with each other without a decree from government authority. So ibig sabihin, yung mga negosyante, yung mga nag-negosyo, they are able to deal with each other and write contracts, go into agreements without a decree from the government authority. Hindi kailangan ng utos galing sa gobyerno. Lagi natin naririnig ang GDP. Ano nga ba ibig sabihin ng GDP? GDP, or Gross Domestic Product, is the total monetary or market value of all finished goods and services produced within a country's borders in a specific time period. As a broad measure of overall domestic production, it functions as a comprehensive scorecard of the country's economic health. So basically, in layman's term, GDP means country's economic health. So GDP is equals to C plus I plus G plus MX, where C represents private consumption expenditures by households and non-profit organizations. while I refers to the business expenditures by businesses and home purchases by households. So consumption, paano nangungonsumo, both organization and private entities. Investment is business expenditures by businesses, and at the same time, home purchases by households. They are called investment as well. While government spending denotes expenditures on goods and services by the government. Paano po ba o how much po ba ang spend ng gobyerno to execute services and provide goods also as a general government service. And the net export represents a nation's export minus its imports. So net export means kung magkano po ba yung export natin, nilalabas natin produkto, less will be products na inaangkat natin. So that's GDP. Next would be per capita income. So GDP, as we all know, the previous slide, the total economic health divided by the total population. So it is not the average income because it includes children and non-working population, but serves as an indicator of country's living standards. So per capita income is equivalent to the GDP of the country divided by the total population. Next, economic concept, inflation. Inflation is often expressed as a percentage. It indicates a decrease in the purchasing power of a nation's currency. So basically, lagi natin sinasabi na inflation tumataas. So basically, ito po yung kung meron kang 100 pesos 10 years back, ang mabibili mo noon at saka mabibili mo ngayon, ibang-iba. Yung value ng pera, bumababa ng pababa as time goes by. So the causes of inflation, the root is rising prices, but there are three attributes. Three attributes or types of inflation. First is demand pull inflation, and then cost push inflation and built-in inflation. Demand pull effect. It occurs when overall demand for goods and services in a company, in an economy, increases more rapidly than the economy's production capacity. So basically, kung ang isang produkto o isang serbisyo ay majority, maraming nangangailangan mo, but the ability to provide that goods or that services creates a demand pull effect. So basically, kung mas konti ang nagbibigay ng isang particular na produkto o particular na serbisyo, mas mahal yun. For instance, when the oil-producing nations decide to cut down oil production, the supply diminishes. It leads to higher demand, which results in price rises and contributes to inflation. Additionally, an increase in money supply in the economy also leads to inflation. With more money available to individuals, positive consumer sentiment leads to higher spending. This increases demand and leads to price rises. Money supply can be increased by the monetary authorities by either printing and giving away more money to the individuals or by devaluing the currency. In all such cases of demand increase, the money loses purchasing power. Lagi ko itong tinatanong sa sarili ko ng lagi. Kung salat sa pera yung Pilipinas, hindi na lang mag-print maraming pera. Mas maraming pera, mag-print ka na mas maraming pera. But the truth is, kung maraming pera ng isang tao o isang community, mas malakas silang gumastos. At pag nakita na mas malakas gumastos at may panggastos ang tao, ang mga produkto at servisyo ay tumataas. Kasi alam nila, may pambili yung tao. Ngayon dahil mas may pambili yung tao, tumataas yung presyo, nadidibagay yung pera. Cost push effect. Cost push effect is a result of increase in the prices of production process input. So examples includes increase in labor cost of manufactured good or offer service or increase in the cost of raw material. This development lead to higher costs for the finished product or service and contribute to inflation. So, kung yung mga products or services may kailangan mga raw materials, if that raw materials prices go up, the end product or end service prices go up as well. Built-in inflation. This is another expectation. As the price of goods and services rises, labor expects and demands more cost. Wage and wages to be paid because of it. So the increased wages results in higher cost of goods and services, and its spiral continues as one factor induces the other investment. So basically, as the price of goods and services go up, yung mga nagtatrabaho, nag-expect na mataas ang sahod. Taas ang sahod sa company, the operational expense of that company goes up, so their product and services prices will go up as well. So this is called built-in inflation. Monetarism. Monetarism concept establishes the relation between inflation and money supply of an economy. For example, following the Spanish conquest of the Aztec and Inca empires, massive amounts of gold and especially silver flowed into Spanish and European economies. Since the money supply had rapidly increased, prices spiked in abundant money, contributing to economic collapse. So, kung walang control sa supply of money, parami yung pera, ultimately the value of the money goes down. So what are the pros and cons of inflation? Inflation is both good and bad, depending upon which one side takes. So individuals with tangible assets like property or my stock commodity may like to see some inflation as that raises the value of their assets, which they can sell at a higher rate. However, the buyers of such assets may not be happy with inflation as they will be required to sell out more money. So basically, this first point says that inflation is good if you have the assets to sell. So kung pinabinili mo siya sa lower value, because of inflation, you can sell them a higher value. But it's not a good thing if you are on the receiving end, kasi you have to dole out more money. Next point is that people holding cash may also not like inflation as it erodes the value of their cash holding. Inflation promotes investments, but both by businesses and projects and by individuals and stocks of companies as they expect better returns than inflation. So, yung may mga investment, ayaw din ng inflation kasi inflation affected investment as well. The next concept would be income inequality. Income inequality is the extreme concentration of wealth or income in the hands of small percentage of a population. It has been described as the gap between the richest and the rest. So basically, income inequality, ito yung discrepancy of the disparity between the rich and the poor. So ano po ba yung drivers of income inequality? Bakit sinasabi natin na yung mayaman, lalong mayaman at yung naghihirap, lalong nilulog mo sa paghihirap? First is globalization. So, although globalization supports economic growth, it can also affect income distribution and that trade increases differentials in returns to education and skills. Globalization marginalizes certain groups of people or geographic regions, and labor relations is not complemented by development of adequate institutions and governance. In addition, when industrial countries shift parts of the production process to developing countries, the increased employment and higher wages tend to benefit skilled workers than their unskilled counterparts. Bakit nagkakaroon ng income inequality? So, first is globalization, the process by which business or other organizations develop international influence to start operating on an international scale. So basically, if a business or an organization have access not just to local resources, but they start to branch out sa ibang bansa and they're able to operate there. That is a basic example of globalization. So, kung mangyari yun, the owner of the company have a better room to maneuver his resources. For example, kung halimbawa someone have a business in the Philippines, and at the same time he is able to open up another business in somewhere in China or somewhere in India. And while operating there, nakita niya na yung raw materials there, the price of goods, raw materials, or the price of employment, or the rate of employees are cheaper there. He will hire more people there. He will buy more goods there. So yung mga nagpo-provide ng goods dito sa Pilipinas o gusto magtrabaho dito sa Pilipinas, easily taken out of the picture. As their goods are not bought or they are not high, mas nawawala ng trabaho, so kakaroon kami ng quality. Next is financial deepening. In most emerging economies, financial deepening means measured as the relative share of the banking and stock market sectors of the economy has been associated with growing inequality, meaning it benefits mainly higher income groups in these economies. However, in Asia, particularly India, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand, financial deepening moderates income inequality because successful policies of financial inclusion have allowed financial services to reach the lower end of the income distribution, even in restricted geographical areas. So basically, one of the drivers of financial inequality is that yung mga financial products are only accessible by a certain group of individuals. So, like for example, stock market, equity funds, any type of investment, ang may access lang are those people with reasonably big resources. So, yung mga taong walang way to access those sectors, dapat iiwanan. I think that is the good thing about IMG is that when you start, should you become a member and you start investing in mutual fund, for as little as 1,000 pesos, you will have access to stock markets through mutual funds. So it is important that a Filipino, usual na kabayan, should have access to those markets, should have access to those investment platforms. Not just the wealthy, but the ordinary folks as well. Another driver of income equality is technological change. So basically, the notion of favoring capital over labor. The improvements in technology have dramatically augmented productivity. However, they also affected income distribution by altering the rate of return on assets. So favoring capital over labor, as well as skilled labor over unskilled labor. While increased automation has eliminated the need for many manual or low-skilled jobs, technological progress has driven demand for skilled labor and increased skill premium disproportionately. Compared to other regions, skill premium has played much greater role in explaining income inequality in Asia, with the contribution that it is 3 times larger in Asia than elsewhere. So the sad fact about introducing technologies to business, if you are the only investor part, you would like, if you will maximize automating things, it's better for you as an investor because if things are automated, much less maintenance or administrative. The administrative cost is lower compared to if you have human workforce yung human workforce, marami kang kailangan papasahod ka, sick leave, benefits, vacation. If things are automated, it's a good investment as part of on the side of the investor. But para dun sa empleyado, yun ang nakakalungkot kasi nawawalan siya ng trabaho. Case in point are mga kiosk sa mga fast food chains. Nababawasan yung mga tao kasi instead of buying things over the counter, they buy it over the place. So, no need for human interaction. Next, driver of income inequality, labor market imperfection. Labor market means the availability of employment and labor in terms of supply and demand. Flexible labor markets promote economic dynamism through reallocation of resources from less productive to more productive work. However, greater flexibility can increase risk disproportionately for low-skilled workers, exacerbating income inequality. In the Republic of Korea and Japan, for instance, the duality between regular and non-regular employment has been the most important driver of inequality, with non-regular employment accounting for around one-third of the labor force in 2013. So basically, labor market imperfection, the main point is that if you low skilled worker, if you're a blue collar worker compared to a white collar worker, we all know that white collar worker are offered higher salary. So this is true to any country. If you are low skilled worker compared to white collar worker are paid differently or higher compared to blue collar workers. Next driver of education is education. Education is often seen as the primary engine for upward mobility. However, unequal access to education has increased income inequalities in countries where the rich continue to get access to education while the poor drop out of faith. Moreover, it is also found that children from less affluent backgrounds are more likely to drop out if they live in places where the income gap is large. So basically, kung may pera ka, you will have access to better education. And if you have better education, you have better chance of getting good employment, better employment, and better paying employment. So if you are from a struggling family and you cannot afford proper education, the horizon of employment is very much small compared to the one who have proper education. Another driver of income inequality is in fiscal policy, progressive taxation. Basically, the taxation law of the country and how it is applied to all the levels of general population deeply affects income inequality. Say, for example, paano po ba kinukumpute yung pagbubuwis sa mga taong sumasahod lang at sa mga taong kumikita ng maramihan? So, how taxation really plays a big part in income inequality. In the case of the Philippines, malaki ang income tax. Like how much percentage? If you're in a certain income level, middle income family, meron kayo, you have bills to pay, you have kids needs to go to school. It really plays a big part. Taxes. Next concept is poverty. Poverty is when our resources are well below our minimum needs. It is the state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essentials for a minimum standard of living. Maraming definition about poverty. Another definition is, it is an economic state where people are experiencing scarcity or the lack of certain commodities that are required for the lives of human beings like money and material things. Therefore, poverty is a multifaceted concept, inclusive of social, economic, and political living. Marami po akong binasa about definition of poverty. Ito po yung nagustuhan ko kasi ito mabilis na intindihan. The Levels of Poverty by Joseph County Foundation. So the green is income at minimum standard. So this level of poverty says able to afford a decent and comfortable standard of living. Next level of poverty is the income below minimum standard. So ito yung getting by day to day but under pressure, difficult to manage unexpected costs and things. So basically, this level of poverty, ito yung tama lang for just to get by every day. Pero nawawala ng pag nagkaroon ng unexpected costs and emergencies, hindi nakakayanan. Next is not enough income, the orange one. Falling substantially short of decent standard of living, high chance of not meeting it. So, ito yung nahihirapan. Even sa paghahanap ng makain, nahihirapan na. Destitute, the red level, can't afford to eat or keep clean or stay warm. Ito yung walang makain o walang matirahan. Homeless, they are called destitute. So next na pag-uusapan natin ay data. Economical figures and data. First is, as of 2018 World Bank report, the Philippines was among the top 3 growth performers in East Asia region. Monetary and fiscal policy remained accommodative. The country's medium-term growth remains positive. Domestic risks are becoming more prominent. High-quality jobs and faster growth of real wages are essential to achieve shared prosperity and inclusive growth. More can be done to create high-quality jobs. So, basically, this is a report of the World Bank about the economic status of the Philippines. And then, susunod po natin gagawin is to gapminder, tingnan natin kung how do we compare with how does Philippines stands among different countries and mga economic data na magandang tignan. So to do this, gagamitin yung ating gapminder app. You can also use gapminder sign if you want to do this. Ito po yung website niya. So let's start with the GDP. So ang una po natin titignan ay total GDP by ranking. So we go to ranking. Let's look for economy. So ito po. So we have a data from 1800s till we have until 2013. So this is GDP. Kung titingnan nyo, obviously United States will be first. Next will be China. And then hanapin natin yung Pilipinas. Philippines is number 28. So out of 100 plus na data natin, Philippines is number 28. So, tingnan natin ang GDP ng United States is 16.4 trillion. Ang GDP ng Philippines is 621 something billion. So that's the GDP. GDP again, if you go back, kasama po dyan yung investment of both private entities and public entities along with their expenditures, and at the same time the net exports, yung total ng inilalabas ng mga products and services minus the imports. So, ang una po natin titingnan ngayon ay the total GDP ranking. Right? And then, natin yung economy. GDP inflation adjusted. So let us compare ourselves with ilagay natin yung Pilipinas. Philippines is here. No data up to 2013. So compare natin sa, let's do some benchmark. Let's benchmark United Arab Emirates. Dito po kung nagtatrabaho. United States. Let's compare ourselves to and let us include India. So this is the GDP. Gross domestic product. United States, India. So this is the economic health. So using the same country, hanapin po natin yung GDP per capita. So GDP per capita. Kung nakita nyo, hindi tayo nahuli. GDP per capita. But as you can see, the difference between the United States and the United Arab Emirates. So basically, marami pong mayaman dito. Marami because they have this much resources, but their population is not that high compared to the Philippines and India. Ang susunod naman po natin titingnan ay annual inflation. Let's filter. data to 2017 inflation rate. So from 2017 2.32, then between 1980s and 1985 we have an inflation rate of up to 51% or something. So usually ito mga inflation na to, they have as we go back to the discussion of the causality of inflation, or the causes of inflation, is that maraming factor. Okay, social, economic, or so many factors. So we have experience from year 1961 till 2017, ang pinakamataas na inflation rate is between this period, 51%. The next graph that we are going to look at is bubbles. Basically, yung titingnan natin is life expectancy against income. Click on bubbles. Let's look at Philippines first. Ladies, sa 1900s, ito po yung this axis, the x-axis is per person, GDP per capita. Okay, ito naman yung life expectancy niya. So, as of what year is this? 2019. Ang Pilipinas po, ito po yung ang nag-a-average po sa ang average na kinikita ng Filipino ay Philippines. $70 old, life expectancy at an average 8,260. The interesting factor here is that kung babalikan po natin yung X-curve concept na introduce sa atin since the very beginning during our membership presentation, if we go to the line of building wealth, the one from left to right going up, where your wealth should go up, kung titingnan nyo po, the people with countries with high expectancy, high life expectancy, are basically countries with high GDP. So, ibig sabihin, malaking factor ang financial capability in terms of life expectancy. Because if you have powerful financial capability, then you can afford the best healthcare during your retirement years. Last po natin titingnan is an hunting graph. So basically, let's look at the income levels. Let's hanapin natin yung Philippines. Ito yung Philippines. Okay, so as we go to the right, this is the income per day in dollar, and this is the population. So the thicker the graph means mas marami pong let us say for example dito, marami po sa Pilipinas ang kumikita sa $5 per day. So, using this line, broken line, this broken line was the extreme poverty threshold. So, meron po sa Pilipinas marami earning even half $1 per day. Nakalungkot pong malaman. Kung makikita nyo yung shape ng graph is that let us compare the one with extreme poverty and the one who are yung kumikit na maayos. Makikita nyo yung kumikita ng marami, manipis na sa population natin. So as of 2015, there's 102 million people in the Philippines. This is accurate. Majority of the Philippine population is itong part na to, this part. So poverty line, mataas pa rin. Dito mo nakikita talaga yung disparity between yung mayaman saka yung level 1. The level 1 population is bigger than the population of level 2 and level 3. Lalo na level 4. So this is a good example of picture of the disparity. So at this point po, you can have your 10-minute personal financial checkup so that at least you will have an idea of where do you stand right now financially. So base po dun sa mga data na nakita natin, ano nga ba ibig sabihin nito? So they are numbers, but how does it apply to daily life? So part of this is I've taken some materials over the internet, over some published research, ano po ba yung mga data na kuha nila, and how it was interpreted. So first implications is, paano po ba nagbago over the period of time ang lifestyle ng kabayan natin. So I have a table about paano po ba a middle income family cope up with financial situation. So definitely yung food na apektuhan. So dito po, first column talk about meal of the day, what they usually have, what do they usually consume, how it changes. Coffee for adults, meat for children, fried rice, tomato omelets, naging scrambled egg, coffee with meat and boiled rice. So nawala ng kamatis, elimination of meat for children, substitution of fried rice with boiled rice. Pananghali, for lunch, there is fried malunggong, mongo gisado with malunggay, leeks and small shrimp, boiled rice, mananalato. So nagbago, what was changed, elimination of fish, substitution of small shrimp with dried beans. Dinner for adobo, pechay gisado, boiled rice, banana, latonda. So kung nakita nyo, naging fried tulingan, boiled kangkong, boiled rice, pork is eliminated. That was substituted by fish, substitution of triglyceride called kangkong, elimination of fish totally, or substitution of small shells with dried meat. Snacks, pandesal with margarine, and pandesal with dressing. So, if we look at the daily eating plan for healthy living by the Food Nutrition Research Institute, meron pong, ito po yung pyramid nila. Water at the base, the liquids, obviously dapat pinakamaraming kinukonsume. But there is a disparity here because how can you, it's easy for you to say that this is the recommended one, but putting it in application is another. So one of the sharing is from a lady named Jocelyn. So she's a permanent sales lady with a minimum wage earner in a popular Metro Manila mall owned by one of the country's richest clans. As a minimum wage earner, she's with one-third of the country's labor force. She remains single but in a relationship at 32. Somehow, Joe, as she calls herself, is lucky because many mall personnel are casuals or under zero-hour contracts. She got social and health insurance from Essential Health, but also dreams of paid vacations. Few companies offer such benefits in the Philippines. Joe is a credit card owner, a Londoner, a play of words from Londoner. So she says in a local parlance, despite receiving a stable minimum wage, what I earn is enough for our needs, but I always pray that nobody in our family gets sick. Getting sick is a normal. Be absent in just a day, and you'll have deductions from your salary. My salary will then be not enough to cover our living expenses. She belongs to the proverbial isang kahit isang tuta, literally one class on class people who live through hand-to-mouth existence. Not even retirement can offer her this. Her future SSS pension is very meager, as the maximum pension at this point is 10,900 pesos. So Joe works in a firm that will benefit from the government's prospective corporate tax cut from 30% to 25% this year. So despite such possible taxable stable profits, corporations fail to share profits to workers. A relatively conservative profit-sharing dynamics in Congress. For now, Joe will have to make do with what she has for herself and elderly parents too. Forced overtime during holidays and sales discount periods do her pay for, she admits. I hate overtime. Our hard work is not well compensated. It is not worth it, but I can't complain. Even her typical hours seems to be unbearable. I have to stand up all the time and I'm expected to greet customers and urge them to buy. Mike, that is real name, is a contractual worker in a fast food firm in the Philippines. He is a beneficiary of the Philippine Department of Labor and Employment's order to grant permanent status to 6,500 fast food workers. He is a minimum wage earner, though he still considers himself luckier than other workers, as his company provides free food during his shifts. Researchers' conversations with him veered toward food. Owing to his job at one point, Mike casually remarks that fruits and vegetables are not part of his regular diet. He complains that one starts to get sick of fast food if taken daily. Thus, I choose to bring my own food sometimes, me and my co-workers share food when we bring some home-cooked meals. He expresses high hopes for the future. I hope we really become regular ones, that will order be implemented. So, sabi rin niya, gusto niya tumas ang sahod niya. I hope our salary gets hiked too, as this likely the dole ruling stands in the fast food affected by the audit promises compliance, but the Philippine president more than a week before the International Day of Labor this year announced that he would no longer issue an executive order to end contractualization in the Philippines. As always, there is always that paradigm of politics. Mike is young, 20-something bed space. One who rents a room with 2 or more persons in Manila, renting a rate of 2,000 per month. The said bed may sound cheap for expatriates, but such bed space is literally living in a small box, occupying space in a double-decker bed, rather than living in a spacious home. To make him make both ends meet, he claims he have a sideline, a rack but he declined to give details. Mike is originally from Mindoro, where his peasant parents still reside. As the eldest child in a brood of four, he sends the money to his parents whenever he can to help support the needs of his younger sibling. Mike did not mention if his parents owned the land that they do, but many farmers in the Philippines are landless, and the country's land reform program has been criticized for his host of failures. As a result, migration from rural to urban areas is still very common, as Mike's story illustrates. Okay, susunod natin titingnan is this link, Black Money Dollar Street Metrics. So we are now in the Dollar Street website from Blackminer. So note the website blackminer.com. So basically, this is a library, media library of different families around the world and how their lifestyle, how their finances reflect how they live. Ano po ba sila mabuhay? Okay, let's look at the Philippines. Asia. So this is an example of families in the Philippines. So ito po is a slider based on their financial income. So let us say, so there are examples of families living under how many they are earning. So the new so according to this, in the news in other cultures in stranger than they are. We visited 264 families in 50 countries. They collected 30,000 photos. We sorted the home bound income from left to right. So let us say this family earning $1,000 per month. They live in Japan. So they have several pictures. This so it allows you access to their home. So this picture was taken, of course, with consent from the hosting family. As you can see, this is their lifestyle. Itsura sa loob ng bahay. Earning around 1,000 to $1,100 per month. So there is also another US family. Let's visit their home. They are earning how much? $98 per month. So makikita niyo po yung how is it to live. Anyway, you can compare how the lifestyle of Philippine families with other countries. So let's do some toilets. So these are the toilets from those Philippine families. You can you can uh, you can further, if you want to do it yourself, pwede kayo magbasa ng discover. Punta na po kayo sa gapminder.com and look for the link for dollar stream. Okay? I like to share this video. This is one taken also from dollar stream. So based on different families around the world in their financial status, sometimes the simplest things that we do, malaki ang impact. What I mean is the simplest things we do illustrates our financial status. So these are people from around the world, different financial status. Paano po pa sila, how do they brush their teeth? So as a recap, we talk about financial concepts, economic data, and at the same time the implication of those data. Pag-usapan po natin ngayon kung bakit napapanahon yung IMG as a company, but not just as a company, but the financial concepts and executions na tinuturo at ina-advocate nila o ina-advocate natin. So, first of all, before we proceed with these slides, try to remember your big why. Bakit tayo naging IMG member? Why did you decide? So, write it down. You have 3 minutes. You can pause this video if you want. So, let's start with the financial concepts. Increase cash flow, number one. Give ourselves time. It takes months to receive proper training. It takes 2 to 3 years to build a good team. And it takes at least 5 years to have a business in multiple locations and to build a solid financial foundation for future. IMG. In IMG, we're in a business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. The foundation of all good systems is its supporting architecture. In fact, great systems come with good instruction, planning, guidance, and continuous support. Believe. Some people have to see to believe. Some believe before they see. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a simple step. Belief is the first step. You must believe in your future. You must know deep in your heart, that you will be successful, that you are destined for greatness. So, magtiwala. The foundation, trust, the foundation of all good systems is its supporting architecture. In fact, great systems comes with good instruction, planning, and team support. Living in a world of bad news, conmen, and scams, we learn to be hesitant and skeptical. Imagine how hard it would be to do anything if everyone in our team acted the same way. Have a goal of greatness. When we put our goals down on paper, we have a concrete plan. Take time to think about what we want in life. Ano po ba? Ano po kailangan natin natin sa buhay? Pag may goal, have a goal of greatness. What rin ang goal? So, in increasing cash flow, as far as IMG provides us the increased cash flow. So let's decide, as a definition, positive cash flow indicates that a company or a person's liquid assets are increasing, enabling them to settle debts, reinvest in its business, pay expenses, and provide a buffer against future financial challenges. So with this projection of our income, this is a part of the Jumpstart School training, imagine as an associate, imagine how 24,000 per month pesos can help your family. Okay? Malaking bagay yun. You earn something, this is something that will really help family requirements or personal requirements. Commit, you run the system and the system will run your business. Healthcare. Medical care is expensive, especially in the private sector. Hospitalization can burn a hole in your pocket and derail your finances. It will become even tough if the person who brings in the money is now in a hospital bed. All this can be avoided by just paying a small annual premium, which will lessen your stress in case of medical emergencies. The importance of long-term care is an easy thing to put off. Maybe you think you're too young, can afford it, or simply won't need it. But if you want to help preserve your choices about future care and have retirement assets and personal savings to protect, then long-term care insurance could be the right vehicle for you. Ikaw po, as an IMG member, nagsimula ka na po ba mag-invest sa healthcare mo? So what are the importance? It helps protect your assets and personal savings. So, pinaghirapan mo, inaipon na pera, hindi mapupunta sa pagpapagamit lang in the long run. It helps preserve your quality of life. To have options for your care. With long-term care insurance, you can choose to participate in deciding where and how you to receive care. Ito medyo masaklat kasi pag tumanda tayo, nagkasakit, at umaasa sa ibang tao, sa kapamilya, hindi po tayo kasama sa desisyon nito kung saan at paano magpapagamot. To have access to appropriate care, the right policy help ensures that the care you receive will be appropriate for your needs. To relieve the burden of care from your loved ones, hindi ka aasa. To help leave your assets to your family, friends, and charity. Long-term care services are expensive, and without proper planning, can quickly use up lifestyle savings. Of course. So, kung may long-term care plan ka, napuprotektahan mo ng mga pinag-ipunan mo. To gain access to a professional care coordinator in times of crisis, kung meron kang a professional can help you and your family coordinate your long-term care needs, which may include locating services to help with a particular illness or injury. So, with a long-term care plan, they can assist with the proper referral. To enable you to stay in your home for a longer period of time, comprehensive long-term care insurance offers you the option of staying in your home for as long as possible. It's a good thing. To stay with children without depending on them for care, long-term care insurance can make it possible for a parent to stay in a child's home without being dependent on him or her. To help you and your family plan for the future. Next, protection. Life insurance is a contract with an insurance company. Usually, this is something ayaw pag-usapan. The insured chooses a beneficiary and makes premium payments. Upon the death of the insured, the insurance company will provide a lump sum payment, commonly known as death benefit, to the beneficiary. One purpose of life insurance is to protect the beneficiary from the loss of income and subsequent financial impact of the death of the insured. Many of us have not taken time to actually think through what this financial impact would be for our loved ones. Sabihin natin, mahal natin pamilya natin. If you want it to put on writing, a life insurance policy is one form of them. Immediate expense. What are some of the expenses that would occur immediately after the insured passing? The first thing that most people think is the funeral and burial and all associated expenses. Another vital immediate expense to consider outstanding medical bills. Large unresolved medical bills arriving in the mail soon after loved one's death can be quite a shock to a family working through the grief. Ongoing expense. Life goes on, and so does the cost of living. Outstanding debt is something that none of us would want to leave our families with. Debt is always a big issue, but the risks associated with being in debt are heightened even more when one source of income for the family has been lost. The mortgage is another large portion of family's budget that would fall under the category of ongoing expenses. Future expenses. It includes like daycare, private schooling, or college funding for children, as long as well as long-term care for the surviving spouse. Wedding expense for children is another item among many others that might be considered. Many times it takes years for a family to make necessary adjustments in order to live comfortably without the income of the deceased. Depending on your particular circumstances, your financial advisor can help you think through potential future that will need your consideration. Siguro naman po, simple na word. These are very simple words, but they are very important. Debt management or utang. Every time you borrow money, you're robbing your future self. 17 reasons why you should get out of debt. Number 1, more free income. When you're carrying a lot of debt, the payments of that debt tie up a big chunk of your income. If you can find a way to pay off debt early, suddenly you'll have more income available every month. The sooner you can clear your debts, the sooner kayo makakapag-afford. Earlier retirement. Another thing to do with extra money you save by paying off your debt is to put it into investment. If you're not putting enough in your retirement accounts right now, that extra cash could mean the difference between retiring at 65 or having to work into your golden years. Putting the money into other investments will help you reach financial independence and be able to work and be able to stop working even earlier. So, the bigger the investment, the earlier you can retire. Simple as that. Number 3, lesser risk. One of the worst things about being in debt is the risk it brings into our lives. If you are already in debt and have no emergency savings to fall back on, you're always just one financial blow away from a disaster. A job loss or a major medical crisis could leave you unstable to meet the payments on your debt, which could result in the following: constant calls from collection agencies, kung walang kamatayang paniningil, being sued for non-payment and possibly having your rates garnished. Pwede pa tayong makasuhan, especially kung nag-issue ka ng cheque at walang pondo. Having your assets repossessed or sequestered. To some extent or to some degree, pwedeng kunin ng bangko o the courts or the government will force you to sell your properties or sequester your properties just to pay for your debt. Losing your home due to foreclosure or being evicted because you can pay your rent, yun ang masakla. Bankruptcy. Being debt-free, remove this risk. It gives you budget room to breathe so you don't have to worry about a single unfortunate event ruining your financial and personal life. Number 4, better credit score. So carrying a lot of debt really weighs down on your credit rating. The closer your credit cards and loans are to the limit, the lower your score will be. A bad credit score can cost you thousands of dollars a year in higher interest rates, making it harder to escape from your debt trap. The flip side of this is that as you pay off your debt, habang nagbabayad ng utang, yung credit score natin ay nag-improve. This in turn can offer a wide range of potential benefits. What are the benefits if you have a good credit score? Better interest rate on any future loans. So if you are applying a loan in a bank and they know that you have a good credit standing, they will consider a lower rate for you, a better rate. Lower insurance premiums. If insurance underwriters alam na magandang credit score mo, yung premium mo nabababaan. A better chance of landing your dream job since employers often check credit scores to see if a potential employee is reliable. This is a reality. However maganda yung skill set mo, you are perfectly suited to the job. Sometimes hindi ka na-accept because of your credit standing. A better chance of finding real estate since landlords sometimes will sell. So same thing, if they know the history of getting referrals from banks and whatnot. If they know that you are not a good payer, hihirapan ka na makuha ng property. Better employment prospects. Number 5, being in debt can also hold you back at work. Worries about money can keep you up at night, which makes you a lot less productive in the job the next day. Totoo po to, kasi kung nauubos yung oras natin sa gabi, kaiisip about money, in the morning, you will be stressed out, yung productivity mo mas mababa. If you have reached the point where you have to deal with debt collectors, the problem is even worse. They are likely to call you up at the office, interrupting your work and impairing your productivity. Debt collectors can even contact your employer directly in an effort to locate you, an embarrassing situation that can strain your relationship with your boss. By contrast, paying your debts makes your job more satisfying. You feel a lot more motivated to work harder when you get keep the money you make rather than spending it all on debt payments. And if you've been stuck in a job you hate because you need the money to pay those credit card bills, paying off the debt frees you to look for a new job that's more rewarding. Number 6, lesser stress. Living with debt is a major source of stress, obviously. You worry constantly about how you're going to pay all the bills and what could happen if you lose your job. The constant pressure of having to work to pay off debt while feeling guilty about spending even the smallest pleasures without your job. Getting rid of debt is like lifting a huge weight off your chest. You no longer feel trapped, like you're constantly running in a hamster wheel. You can sleep more easily. And with your thoughts no longer locked into the constant pattern of worrying about money, you can devote more energy to work, family, friends, and pastimes you enjoy. Number 7, better mental health. So, stress isn't the only mental problem that's linked to death. The Northwestern study found people with a lot of debt were 13% more likely than average to report symptoms of depression. So, nakaka-depress pala. Malaking utang. Especially if, according to the study, if you are your age is over 50, having unsecured debt had a strong link to depressive symptoms, and the higher the amount of debt, the worse those symptoms are likely to be. At its most extreme, debt can even lead to suicidal tendencies. A 2012 Huffington Post story reports that people struggling with overwhelming student loan debt often struggle with those thoughts of suicide, and a few have actually taken their own lives. The fortunate flip side is that being debt-free improves your mental health. You're less likely to suffer from anxiety or depression and more likely to be happy with your life as a whole. A 2014 study at Purdue University found that lower levels of debt play almost a big role as higher income in people's overall levels of happiness. It's a great feeling to know that you own a car or a house free and clear, and no one can ever take it from you. Of course. Number 8, higher self-esteem. Being in debt can eat away all your self-esteem. Psychologists and debt experts interviewed by Fox Business say people with debt often go out of their way to create a life that looks picture perfect on the outside. A beautiful house, new cars, nice clothes, because they don't want anyone to know their real financial situation. Of course, all these things cost money. This just makes their financial situation worse and increases their feeling of shame. By contrast, pag nakapagbayad ka, it boosts your self-confidence like magic. In Fox Business article, one woman relates the story of going to buy a new car for the first time after paying off $120,000 in debt. When the car salesman ran her credit check, her initial response was panic, followed quickly by elation as she realized that for the first time, the result would actually be good. This thrill often makes people as eager to share the stories of their escape from death, and as they were anxious to have their death while they still had it. Number 9, better cognitive function. Death isn't just an emotional problem, it can actually impair our cognitive function. That is our ability to think and reason. In 2017, a meta-study published in Frontiers in Psychology points to numerous studies showing that experiencing poverty, both in real life and laboratory conditions, impaired people's attention span and working memory and self-control. So kung babaon daw tayo sa utang, it affects yung ability natin makapag-isip na maayos. This is a problem that feeds on itself. Weaker cognitive function can make you worse at making financial decisions, which can make your debt problem still worse. The Frontiers in Psychology paper showed that financially stressed people were more likely to choose small gains now over much larger ones in the future. They were less adept at evaluating risks. They were less willing to take risks that could lead to long-term gains, yet more willing to take risks that could lead to long-term losses. Fortunately, the same study also showed that paying off debt reverses the problem. The 2017 study at the National University of Singapore offered families with high debt a big chunk of money, equivalent to several months' worth of income to pay it down. It found that as the participants reduced their debt, their cognitive function rose significantly. They also felt less anxious and became better decision makers. Number 10, fewer illnesses. The stress that brings can damage your body as well as your mind. Okay. The same Northwestern University study that linked that to anxiety and depression also found that people with higher levels of that report worse physical health overall. So it generally yung health na apektuhan talaga. That can damage our health in variety of ways according to psychologist Carol Stowell, one of the experts in interviewing facts-based article. Stress can be trigger for heart disease, allergies, gastrointestinal problems, and diabetes. A 2008 survey of the Associated Press in America on mental health bears this out, showing that people with high level of death-related stress are more than 3 times as likely to suffer from ulcers and other digestive problems as people with lower death stress. They are also twice likely to have heart problems, including arrhythmias and heart attacks. Chronic stress can also suppress your immune system. So, pati yung immune system natin apektuhan, putting you more at risk for infectious diseases such as colds. On top of that, manic worries can keep you awake at night, further damaging your ability to fight off illness. AP studies found that people with high death stress were twice as likely to suffer from insomnia or other sleep disorder. When you pay off your debt, you can feel better instantly, physically as well as mentally. Those nagging headaches and stomach aches will ease up. And with better sleep and better immunity, you're more likely to escape that nasty body that's going around. Number 11, lower blood pressure. Having too much debt can actually raise blood pressure. In a Northwestern study, people with higher debt showed a 1.3% increase in diastolic blood pressure compared to average. So talaga nakaka-apekto sa ating blood pressure yung stress presented by being there. That may not sound like much, but it's enough to make a real difference to our health. An increase in just 2 points in blood pressure raises your risk of hypertension by 17% and your risk stroke by 15%. This means paying off your debt can do more than make you feel better. It could actually save your life. Some studies suggest that debt can even cause physical pain. A 2008 AP survey found that 44% of all people with high level of debt-related stress suffered from migraines, compared to just 15% of those with lower debt stress. They are also most likely to suffer from back pain and general muscle tension. Another study published in Psychological Science in 2016 found that people with high levels of economic insecurity were more likely to buy over-the-counter painkillers. Even thinking about financial insecurity, the scientists found could increase people's pain levels. Subjects who had to think about financially unstable times in their lives reported almost twice as much physical pain as those who are out of financially secure period. Since the less debt you have, the less time you have to spend in the month. It stands to reason the pain of debt you have is those aches and pains. So, malaking epekto ang pag-iisip masyado kung saan pambayad dun sa atin. It really drags you down. Number 13, most health problems caused by debt in some way related to stress. However, there's one that related problem that's simply a matter of dollars and cents, not being able to see your doctor often enough. A 2013 study in the Journal of Health and Social Behavior found that people who have high levels of credit card debts or medical debt were less likely to see a doctor or dentist regularly. Even when they were sick, these people often skipped doctor visits because they couldn't afford the bills. On the other hand, people with good debts such as home and car loans were no more likely to avoid doctor visits. So that's a final way of paying off debt can boost your health. You can always afford to see a doctor when you need one. That much is true. Number 14, better relationship. Being in debt stirs up a lot of negative emotions such as anxiety and depression, fear and anger. This feeling tends to spill over into your relationship with others at home and at work. When you worried about how to pay the bills, you're more likely to snap at your spouse or be short-tempered with your colleagues at work. You get mad at your boss for not paying you enough and feel resentful when your friends tell you about their vacations since you can't afford one yourself. Getting rid of debt will make you a happier person. And that in turn will make your relationships better. You'll be more patient with your spouse, your kids, your friends, and your co-workers. Even new people will like you more when you're not in a bad mood all the time because of that stress. Bagay, not just the people who have debt, but because of the way your mood or your behavior or your emotion being affected by debt, it affects your immediate surroundings. Number 15, stronger marriage. Money problems includes debt. It always puts a strain on marriage. Even when both partners see the debt as a problem and are working to eliminate it, the stress it causes make them more likely to be irritable with each other. It can also affect them physically, sapping the energy out of their sex life. However, when one spouse is working hard to pay off the debt while the other keeps spending, that's a situation that's bound to lead to fights about money. One of the biggest sources of tension in marriage. Yung isa, talagang nag-house para mabayaran yung isa. Gastos pa rin yung gastos. Pinagpisimulat ang pinangalan. The Institute for Divorce Financial Analysis says money problems are third most common cause of divorce, right after basic income, compatibility, and infidelity. The good news is that when you work through these problems together, your marriage can actually come out stronger at the end. The process of paying off your debt will force you to communicate better, and the experience of surviving crisis together will create a stronger bond between you. Number 16, being a better parent. Paying off debt can make you a better parent in several different ways. First of all, it will free up income that you can put toward taking better care for your kids. If your son needs braces, your daughter wants to take up a sport, you won't going to panic over where the money will come from. And you can also afford to save for your children's future. For example, by investing in their college education. Becoming debt-free will also improve your emotional state. The freedom from debt stress will make you more pleasant to be around and give you more energy to devote to playing tag or helping with homework. And because paying off debt strengthens your relationship with your wife or your spouse, it will create a better home environment for your kids. Finally, the process of paying off debt, even the process itself, will make you better at teaching your children about money. You can help your children learn from your mistakes by teaching them how to avoid debt in their own lives. Being able to help others, number 17. Getting out of debt has one more big benefit. It makes it possible for you to help out others when they need it. For instance, you can lend money to friends or family members who need to get through a tough period. If they're struggling with debt, you can also give them benefit of your experience to help them figure out how to get out. Sharing your success story can inspire others and give them the boost they need to tackle their own financial problems. In addition to helping out people you know, being debt-free allows you to give money to charity. Diba? Happiness economists have found that spending money to help others is one of the most rewarding things you can do with it. It's a great feeling to know your money is helping to make a world a better place. Those are the 17 reasons. Next, we'll talk about emergency fund. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, setting aside an emergency fund may seem incomprehensible. You're already struggling to make ends meet. Creating an emergency fund may only add to your financial burden. If that's the case, you're not alone, as a majority of the public have little to no savings. Does that mean you should go on as before? Financial experts have a lot of good reasons for placing importance on emergency fund. An emergency fund or cash is a pool of money that we have set aside to cover any unexpected events such as medical expense, car, home repair, or job loss. These events can be quite costly. The presence of emergency money can mean the difference between being tight and destitute. Take note that this type of saving should be easily accessible. How much should your emergency fund be? Ilan ba dapat ang tamang emergency fund? Financial experts agree that your emergency fund should contain about 3 to 6 months worth of salary. It should enable you to get by for a few months should you lose your job. This amount should include paying for all your living expenses plus any loans you might have at the time, such as your mortgage. Why do we need emergency fund? Number 1, it helps us to stay out of debt. You may already be in debt, but that doesn't mean that you should get yourself some more. Having an emergency fund will ensure that you can cover expenses that are not included in your budget, such as car repair bill or paying for sudden leak in your roof. You won't need to add to your credit card debt because you already have cash on hand. This will also make it easier for you to pay off your debt because any extra cash you have will go toward paying it off since you already have some extra cushion for unexpected costs. Only one source of income. So why do we need emergency fund if only we have a single source of income? If you only have one source of income, losing it can result in a disaster. If you find yourself suddenly unemployed or unable to work due to an illness, you're going to have to be able to feed yourself and your family if you're born, but still pay off the bills, and such while looking for a new source of income. Very simple and very clear. Who else needs an emergency fund? You are a freelancer. Whether you are self-employed or independent contractor, you probably are not receiving any benefits. You also won't be able to receive unemployment benefits. In addition, your income probably fluctuates since the amount of work or projects you will have differ from time to time. You need an emergency fund for times when business is low, as well as for medical bills if you don't have certain benefits that employees generally enjoy. If you have your own home, as a homeowner, all maintenance costs will fall on your shoulders. But you should have a fund that will pay for your remodeling the house and other house repairs. There may be times when you need more money to cover home repairs like unexpected problems with your plumbing, furnace, or air conditioning and whatnot. Having an emergency fund will help. Taking out personal loans for emergencies also helps, especially since home repairs tend to be quite expensive. But with an emergency fund, you won't have to get a loan, or maybe not at all. Without an emergency fund, hindi ka mababound sa utang. It helps curb spending. Spending money is easy. Just ask anyone. Now, saving money, that's the whole other ballgame. The best way to prevent yourself from spending on a whim is to put it away somewhere out of sight, such as a current account that doesn't have a debit card. You'll be able to track your money but not swipe it away on some impulsive purchases. It keeps your stress level down. Any unexpected event in life that costs money in this financial well-being can be extremely stressful. If you don't have an emergency fund, you can find yourself desperately hoping that you won't find yourself running into a crisis. With an emergency fund, you'll have a safety net and peace of mind. So, stress. So that's the IMG factor in terms of the solid financial foundation. Increasing cash flow, having healthcare protection, managing debt, having emergency fund, and doing investment. So why is it IMG encourages all the members to invest in mutual funds? Mutual funds are easy to understand. Meron tayong training na binibigay. Mutual funds are easy to buy. As you can see, yung minimum 1,000 pesos, you can already start accessing mutual funds. Diversification. Mutual funds have broad market exposure. Ibig sabihin, the amount of money that you put in your mutual fund is diversified. It's not invested in a single market. So, diversified siya. Mutual fund comes in many different categories and types where you can choose depending on sa risk that you are willing to take. Affordability. Mutual funds have low minimums, low expense. Mutual funds can be costless to manage than other portfolio types. Compared to other type of investment platform, hindi masyado, you are not much burdened with monitoring and then managing your mutual fund. It's professionally managed. MF have a team of professionals researching and analyzing investment, so you don't have to. Ito mga namalito. In our case, Roundver is helping us. Roundver Financials is helping us with this with our mutual fund investment. So, as we go back to our other trainings, mutual funds have several uses and applications. So, when we go back to our financial checkup and financial planning, makikita nyo, mutual fund have several applications. It can be used for saving up for education, for our owners, for retirement, and whatnot. This is one of the strong points of mutual fund. Since mutual fund have access to stocks, mutual fund definitely is an investment against inflation. Stocks are considered to be the best hedge against inflation. In our way, mutual fund also have access to stocks. As the rise in stock prices are inclusive of the effects of inflation, since any increase in the cost of raw materials, labor, transport, and other facets of operations leads to an increase in the price of the finished product the company produces, the inflationary effects gets reflected in the stock prices. So, that, when you are investing in mutual fund, when it goes into stocks, you are buying the value of the stocks, which is reflected on the company's performance and operations. So, yung inflationary costs or inflation causing factors nakocover ng stock. So, as we go back, with our big whys, and what we always ask the question, what would you do if you knew exactly how to win? Especially nowadays, the world has changed. Our big why with all this guidance. Find something you believe and put your life to fight for it. With your big why, with God's grace, you will be unstoppable. Salamat po sa pakikinig.